Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Well, welcome everyone to episode 76 of the Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks podcast. We're going to kind of start doing things a little different. We're going to start kind of giving you a heads up on what you should expect during this episode, especially right now. We're going to kind of take a pause on the story, but we do have some kind of side story to talk about, so it is going to be mainly a side quest episode, getting us caught up before we kind of go into Sin, right? That's where we left off. So we're going to be covering like airship passwords, the hidden coordinates you can search for. We are going to venture back into the Cavern of Stolen Fayth and kind of do that whole side Aeon deal. We're going to take us to
Yep.
Baaj Temple. That's going to be pretty sweet to do that. We're going to do
Yep.
with that kind of just, that's all the hidden Aeons, so to speak. So we'll cover some of the last one. And we're going to go to Remiem Temple, do the whole Belgemine thing. That's where we're going to kind of end it.
There's a whole lot within that as well, Remiem Temple, you also got some chocobo stuff to do, new enemies to talk about, new items, new equipment, a lot of stuff.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead and hop to it. So, airship, we kind of talked about the console. You got to talk to Sid. Final showdown with Shin. And so, you're going to be hearing that a lot. We're not progressing. It's in our final showdown with Shin. Type in some passwords, though. You'll get
Yep.
the input. And now, man, let me ask you before we even start, does it have to be in all caps? Did you ever try it in lowercase?
I'm actually not sure. I haven't really tried these in a minute. So when I get to this part in the game, I definitely will. I'm lagging behind a little bit right now, but I think it might have to be in all caps.
Okay. Well, you do get this little menu, and it says that Al-Bed left riddles, 1,000-year-old ruins. Well, if you did notice, we kind of talked about as we went, we encountered these little things all around, and they're Al-Bed, and because we didn't, have the alphabet deciphered, we didn't know what they said. Well, if you go back and you can do that, you can figure out these riddles, right? And then you put in the inputs. So, God Hand. Put that in, and blink! Oh, what do you know, dude? You got yourself an unlockable location.
Yeah, this one is kind of by Mushroom Rock Road. There's like a little slot canyon that you go into with the treasure chest. This one actually you can't open right now. We're gonna talk about the item that you need to actually open this chest. So right now we haven't talked about that. Just remember that this one is here. It's a very, very good item. So we'll be coming back to this.
Yes, and its location's Mushroom Rock, it says. And it's like, oh, interesting. All right, the next one is going to, just take some time pushing on that D-pad. Bling, 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 going back. And you got to spell out Victorious. And you're like, goodness, man, this is taking forever. But if you spell that out, Besaid Ruins 1. It's like there's numbered.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it's called. It's actually kind of cool, these places, though, right?
It
Because
is.
this takes you the top of the ruins. Actually, it was like the beginning of the game that Kamari
Yeah, where he
kind
kind of
of
like leapt
attacked,
down from.
Yeah, exactly. So you're finally up there, and you can only run around like a tiny little amount. There's really not much you can do, but there is a treasure chest with none other than Victorious.
Hey.
Surprise, surprise. This is actually pretty decent. Fire, water, lightning, and ice proof.
It's a situational item, like we've talked about with any elemental, as it's been forever with Final Fantasy, but heck, you got one that does all. All right, man, what do we got for this last one?
So the last one here we got is Murasame. So Murasame. And this will take you to Besaid Ruins 2, which is, again, pretty much actually right up in those ruins, just a different section.
Yep.
This one's a weird one. It's 1 MP cost weapon for Ornn.
That is kind of strange. I'm not sure why they did that, but there's uses for that, I imagine.
Just
But
get a spam zombie attack or something.
yeah, seriously, I guess.
Its highest MP attacks.
Yes. Well, you do have that search function as well in the whole interface for the airship, right? So if you go into it now, you just got kind of the map there sitting, and so you gotta move around your cursor, and you just hit A, and it'll find it. So there are coordinates. You could go look them up, or you could just go around the map mashing A. It kind of works, but the coordinates are usually a lot faster, I found, than the times I'm like, all right, let me just go ahead and mash action. No, no, no.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, if you kind of just, honestly, if you just press X a whole bunch of times, you will find a whole bunch of these because there's quite a few. So one of the first ones that we have is Battle Site. And this takes you to a little hidden location right on the beach, back when we fought, or there was that battle with Sin. And pretty good treasure here, though, honestly. Phantom Bangle for Lulu.
Ice, fire, and water eaters. So that's
Yeah,
better
that's
than
pretty
proof. It
sweet.
heals you, so that's really cool. Missing lightning there, but oh well, we'll take it. I mean, three is better
Yeah.
than not, so pretty cool. Also, you'll find one that's Besaid Falls, so a third one in Besaid, and it's in between the two waterfalls that you do cross. Kind of an interesting weapon. It's Dragoon Lance for Kamari, and it has magic counter and evading counter. I mean, the evading counter
Hmm.
kind of makes sense, and I guess they're just like, hey, we've been giving you some strength weapons for Kamari. We've been giving you some magic weapons for Kamari. Here, we're covering both, sides again for you.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty sweet combination on a weapon, to be honest. Evading counter, just the fact that you can never be hit by most just regular physical
Yeah.
attacks is crazy. I mean, it's just an awesome ability. Next one, if you're kind of looking over by the Mihan area as well, you'll find Mihan Ruins. This one has Riku Sonar, Initiative, Poison Strike. So that one's kind of meh,
It's a little
but I mean it's still pretty
disappointing, isn't it?
useful. Yeah, it's not the best item, but
Especially compared to like some
I
of
will
these
take
other
it.
ones we're getting, like Phantom Bangle. That was a great thing, that was a
Oh
great
man,
item. You get
and this
God
one you
Hand.
got here,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly. This next.
Zenobia Sand. So this is kind of one of the last locations. We'll talk about one last one later. We're not going to even go there this time because that's just a whole can of worms. This one you'll get Ashelon and double AP, man. That's the first one we see with this outside of the Celestial Weapons. Great ability.
Yeah, that is a nice one. Unfortunately, it is just a one slot weapon, so you can't even put like first strike or anything. That is the one
Yeah.
thing I wish you could do because Ascalon, even though it does give you double AP, leaves you don't have any other abilities on there, so it's kind of just a one trick pony, I guess. Let's move on for that. So we covered pretty much all of the things you can do in the airship, at least for now. A couple of locations, like you said, Mark, that we'll cover later. But
Yep.
we're gonna move on to Cavern Stolen Fayth.
Yeah, and so obviously you could have been here the first time in Calmlands, and we did kind of briefly mention it, but we're like, we're just gonna move on because we kind of wanted to circle back, so to speak. Regardless of when you were here, when you approach the entrance, you get kind of a scene, and it's triggered. It kind of goes better with the story. So obviously we came back
Yeah,
around.
it does.
Maybe we should have done it then. I don't know. It kind of goes, but it's really not a whole lot. Lulu has a connection here, and you find out a couple things. Apparently, there's a faith inside, and again, we kind of can piece some things together. There's kind of been hints. This is kind of odd, right? There's just a faith here. It says it's been stolen. It's the first optional Aeon, right? I mean,
Yeah.
up to this point, we had to go and pray. Like, gosh, we were on the Lamb in Bavel, literally army on, and like, nope, we gotta go to the Chamber of Faith. It's like, what are you guys talking about? Like, we gotta run. Nope, gotta do it. This, though, you don't have to do.
A faith got stolen, and all of a sudden, everybody just forgets about it. Oh, what happened to that one faith?
Well, I guess
I
you
think
didn't
we
need to
got
pray to it after
problems.
all. And it's like, okay, do we need to do any of
Yeah.
these then? Can we just go straight to Xanarkand?
There's a little bit of information here. It is a tricky one, kind of from the story perspective, because it's technically optional, but you get some really good information here. Like you get information, from Lulu about how this is also where her first pilgrimage ended. Summoner died. Not good.
I mean, that is pretty crazy. It's like, oh, and here it's like your summoner died? Like, wow. They heard about the Stolen Fayth, right? And they're like, yeah, man, let's go get them. Yeah. And then they got in there like, oh, this sucks. Like, oh, we're getting our butts kicked by these fiends.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll get to those too because they are actually pretty tough.
Yes, a
And
few in
there's some really
particular.
tough enemies.
Absolutely. Well, once you get inside, what do you know? It's just an underground cave, so you can kind of go through it. There's side routes and all that, as usual for sake of time, just with things that are directional heavy. As you move through it, you'll be able to pick up different treasures and all that, and we're just gonna kind of rattle them off later all together. Pretty cool area though. I mean, it's pretty linear. It's not really that interesting. There's some pads on the ground you can't do anything with, so just don't worry about that. But I will say, the track Calm Before the Storm, this is the one that's in Killica Forest as you go through the way back. That's the one
Yep.
here as well. Dude, I love this. It's mellow. It's just kind of one of those
Too.
things that, like, it goes well with having to walk long
Uh-huh.
distances.
Well, and it sort of grows on you too, honestly. This was one of those like sleeper tracks on Final Fantasy X that grew on me over
Yeah,
time because
absolutely.
It plays a whole bunch of plays. It plays in Kilika, like you said. It plays in Makalania. It plays at the Gagazet Caves. Yeah, it's super calming for this area.
Because, well, you will be getting some battles. Luckily, I just did this today, and I didn't get into frustratingly amounts of battles, right? It was an okay amount. It was totally fine. I was dealing with it. Tons of new enemies. You got some that are different areas as well. I mean, it's just tons of a variety. It's huge. There's a lot of different enemies here, so we're not going to even cover all of them. Some of the new ones, a Yowie, an imp, and a
Yes.
dark element. Those are kind of just like your lizard, imp, and element types.
Yeah, Dark Element's kind of a tricky one, though, to be honest. It's like you need. I mean, non-elemental is also really good against it, but obviously it has to be some type of magic. Yowie can be pretty darn annoying as well. I mean, these guys are still tough. You know, the Yowies come in 3. They like to petrify and stuff like that. And then, of course, we also have Nidhogg.
Yeah.
And you also got another one of those, what are they called? It's called an Epage, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about those when we dipped our head down here to get the sword and talk to Durin in our playthrough. So those are in here. Nidhogg, if you did come in here when your first time through, this would have been the new enemy for you, but since we already went into Gagazet, we already experienced it. So you got Thorn. It's kind of like a fungus type, and I was like, wow, we haven't really had a fungus type enemy in a long time, like a variant.
Yeah, exactly.
This one, if you remember the one back at Mushroom Rock, could have been a slightly dangerous every once in a while. This one, not really. I mean, it still counters with pollen, but this is just sleep in darkness, and that's pretty much it. Just uses Fyra, so not really that hard. Valaha is that one's a dual horn.
Valaha.
Also kind of the same thing. Not really that difficult.
Yeah, and the random encounters in this place, like, I mean, so there are places where some of the little side rooms and things you'll get more of these rare enemies. You tend to get these ones, the common ones we're talking about now, kind of show up more in the hallways and the main areas. Because you also have the Mech Hunter, Machina guys. Pretty sure they're still just coming in the groups of 3, just like Gagazet. So they're also really annoying.
Yes, but Machina, so easily to dispatch. And then
Yeah,
you got
exactly.
Ghost. So this one, kind of entirely new model. It uses Doom on its first ability. First turn of the match. So you use Doom, and, well, if you lance it with Kamari, he can learn Doom, and so that's pretty cool. Other than that, just uses, like, the aura spells, and so not very difficult, just really high physical defense.
Yep, and the thing, I hate the ghost enemies in this game, because like you said, they're armored. You have to use, armor break or something like that, or magic. They also give you barely any experience or AP. I mean, it is, or just AP.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
It's really bad, yeah. So they always just annoy me. Another thing I notice as well is they seem to randomize their weaknesses. So another annoying thing is you can't always rely on it being weak to ice, fire, lightning. It'll switch it up every time. It'll usually be weak to something, but they're just kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Really rare one in here though. We finally got.
I did not encounter it.
Yeah, it's rare. I don't know what its chance is, but it's probably around. It's probably less than 10%, to be honest. This one is a real pain to try and encounter. We finally get to talk about Tomberry for the first time in 10. So yeah, here we have, very similar to previous ones. He basically takes his turn to shuffle towards your party.
Dun, dun, dun. And you're like, no, he's coming closer. And you're like, no. And then you're dead.
You already know it's Chef's Knife, classic Final Fantasy. It's always been Chef's Knife. It's just a classic move. He also has another really annoying one in this one, kind of similar to Final Fantasy VII. He's got this Karma attack, so when you attack him, he'll hit you back with Karma, and Karma does damage proportional to how many enemies or fiends that character has killed. It's a pretty tough one to deal with because like Tidus will be getting hit hard by this after killing all those lizards. Waka, Orin, Lulu, all of your big damage dealers are going to get hit hard by this. So
Lulu and Yuna in my game they're probably going to die instantly with what it's concentrate. I've only used 3 characters, guys, and Kamari's just kind of been Inspector Gadget for me, man. He's just kind of using a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He doesn't get many kills these days, Yuna and Lulu are just blasting everything to pieces right and left. Those 2 have like done 90% of my entire damage, so it's like, yeah, these guys are going to get murdered by Karma. It's coming back to bite them.
No, yeah, exactly. I was gonna note too, that's pretty funny since in most people's games, in my game especially, I usually start using Yuna now because she'll have a really low, she won't get hit hard. Like I usually you're not using her to
Yeah.
cast black magic and kill enemies. So at this point it's always a good idea, like she'll be barely taking any damage.
Yeah. Well, and I usually
But in your
saved my
case,
black magic spheres for some of the big ones, right? Rather than use them
yeah.
on as I went this time. And so, yeah, you get that. So now you might have actually like flare on Yuna at this point. And so she can actually do high damage.
Yeah, and then we got probably one of the most annoying characters, man.
Oh,
I
yes.
hate this thing. It's so
So pointless.
yeah, so the magic pot, right? And this is another throwback.
Oh,
Seven
yes.
had a magic pot enemy.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one is just you got multiple eyes that you can hit, and it's just hit one. It doesn't matter. It's completely random. You'll get it right or get it wrong. If you get it wrong, he explodes, and it does quite a
Yeah,
bit
I
of
think
damage.
it's a 1/8 chance. It's not even worth it, to be honest.
No.
There's a whole set of chances all the way, to like really extreme ones like 1 in 256 chance. And, you could potentially get an elixir or something out of it if you're really lucky.
That's
But
about the
again,
best.
in my experience, yeah, in my experience, he just seems to do that explode thing, and you can actually get a game over with this guy too. I mean, if you
Yeah.
go into the battle
It's like 1700,
underprepared,
2200 damage. I mean, it's
yeah,
substantial.
definitely something to watch out for. Just kind of to clear up this place. So while you're running around getting in all these encounters with fiends and things like that, it's basically just a cave, right? And there's a whole bunch of treasures in here.
Yeah, and as you go, you'll probably collect them around this order, but you'll get a mega elixir. Pretty sweet. Level 2 key
Yeah,
sphere, who the heck cares? Get a fortune sphere. 2 mega
that's nice.
potions. MP sphere. That's another nice one.
Mhm.
2x potions. Flexible arm. And one of our few very last Albed primers. This one 25.
Yeah, this is definitely it's not a missable one, but a post game kind of optional area one. And that flexible arm too, I gotta say that's an awesome item. I believe that's actually just a 4 free slot weapon for Riku. So the flexible arm is sweet. As you go, and there's a whole bunch of pyroflies in here and stuff like that, and it's really spooky and creepy. But once you get to the end, you get a little bit more story, with Lulu. You also kind of get to see what her summoner is to look like, right? Lady Ginham, I
Yeah,
think.
Lady Ginham. Lady Ginham
Ginham.
manifests, and so it's like she's like the Lulu's thing start and she's like, "It is you, isn't it, Lady Ginham?" So she's unsent, right? She's a full blown fiend. She's like, "No, there's no human left in you." She recognizes it, and she does. Lady Ginham knows some like. It reminds me of like the Pokemon move Psychic. It's like it goes out like she shoots some beams at you. I don't even know what it is. Like what ability was
No,
this?
I know what you mean. She's
Mind
sort of like,
blast.
yeah, she does like this arm move, and it's like, huh.
Pushing.
It's not like crazy.
Yeah, it's strange, but she does that twice. So she attacks us, and it's like, okay, we gotta take care of this. Also move forward, and it was like, oh, past summoner verse master. I don't know, but
Yeah.
she is in combat and she summons. And dude, what is this, man? This is, I mean, the first time around when you see this, especially if you didn't follow a guide, you didn't know would come. You were just like, dang, which Aeon is this? I mean, this was like a cool moment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Boom.
But I gotta say too, this whole sequence is awesome because it keeps playing Lulu's theme. And the other thing I gotta say that's really funny with these like other summoner models like Lady Ginham here or even Belgemine, I love the way they summon without moving at all. It just shows
They don't
that
know how to dance.
no, Yuna does like this whole thing, but even when it came to Asaru, they just stand there perfectly still while it does the same
Yeah,
animation.
that was pretty funny. This
This
is
one in particular, yeah, is awesome. I mean, he's like a samurai.
He's a summer samurai named Yojimbo, and he's got a little footstool. At least that's what it looks like to me. I swear. You look at that little guy; it's a dog-looking thing. I mean, it kind of looks like a bear face, but it is so
He's like a
flat and
bear.
hot dog shaped. It looks like a footstool with his little legs. Like it's just scary
Well,
samurai and his footstool. Don't make him relax.
he's got like a little fancy sort of glyph thing going on around his neck
He's
and his head,
embellished,
right?
man. He's
He's
embellished.
embellished. Yeah, He's got a sick collar on.
Yeah, his
Oh,
name is Daigoro. I mean, honestly, man, this is how I approach it, and this is how you kind of need to. Just start blasting him. He has really high physical defense, so blast away with August spells, and, double cast Fire Augas, or, I mean, it really doesn't matter. It takes care of him pretty quick.
that's usually the best way to go here, like you said. It's the easiest thing to do.
And you'll use, various attacks and things, but overall, it shouldn't be that challenging. Well, after that, it's like, you win. It's kind of like she's gone, and so this is all resolved. But now you'll notice the pad in the room actually works. It's very self-explanatory, even has all the directions on. The rooms have some of the treasures we already went through, and then you can either go back to the very beginning or go forward, and so that's what we're going to do. It's like the Chamber of Fayth, right? Dude, here's the thing. This area and the chamber, so it was stolen, as you know, but dang, man, they respected this thing. They, dug a nice little hole for it, draped over, claws and set it up. It's like, all right.
The torches in and everything like that. It's all nicely lit. It is interesting, man. It's interesting.
We did miss a little bit of story, too, where they were talking about why they would want to steal an Aeon, and that was the thing, was so that way summoners couldn't complete the pilgrimages. So obviously they weren't doing it just to steal an Aeon, yeah, man, let's steal a Fayth, heck yeah. It was no, they did it with a purpose, and so respect was still there. Pretty cool.
And Titus, isn't Titus, he's I kind of understand where they were coming from. I think he has that kind of a moment as well.
Yep, and that's
So
that's
again,
why it fits well with the story, because that was still
right.
him and Riku are kind of having their moment about let's think kind of a deal, and so it fits more naturally if you did it through the Calmlands.
No, exactly. You go into the Chamber of the Fayth. It's just the forward-facing one, essentially, and you actually get to see Yojimbo, basically the actual Fayth. Kind of looks like the Blitzballer Q, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just looks like a Crusader. I don't know, it's just the face armor guy, but
Yeah,
it's
with the bird mask thing.
The Daigoro, again, he's just a dog now, just one of the dog model, that's all over the place. Yeah. I am the blade of vengeance. They dare only whisper my name. Yojimbo.
It's legendary, man.
It's whoa, all right, man. Who we got here?
And I gotta say, I kind of like that they give you a glimpse of what they look like in human form, right? Before they became a Fayth, they basically just end up being a more elaborate version of what they were, as people. I guess this guy was
he was an assassin or something, I guess. I mean, goodness, yeah. Well, he kind of wants to know why he should go with you, kind of a deal. So it's almost like they don't have to always go with the summoners, right? So you have some options, and essentially it just kind of, we have to pay the guy, right? He's a soldier, he's an assassin, we gotta hire him, and so these options will just kind of change his amount. If you select that you want to defeat the most powerful of enemies, he's like, yeah, all right. He's like, I'll give you a discount. He's like, let's do it.
Yeah, because this guy asks a lot of money, right? I mean, I think he starts off at 300K or something crazy like that, maybe even 400. But there's a trick to this. So what you want to do is you want to basically half his offer, but add 1 gil. And so if it's 250, then you go 125.01. Or
yep, and one.
Yeah, 125.001.
Yeah. And you're bartering at this point, so he'll lower his, and you just raise yours by just 1. It's once you kind of approach 200, 1,000, he'll give the 205,000. Sometimes he'll take a little bit less so he'll just keep going. So sometimes he'll take a little bit less, but that's about as low he's gonna go.
Yeah, exactly. There is another thing here too, where if you offer him 3 times his asking price at any time, then you basically get Yojimbo, plus you get 2 teleport spheres. Which
Yes.
Not really all that worth it.
I don't know. I love teleport spheres, and it is a lot though. It is, because even if you talk them all the way down to it'll probably be 195, 190 or something. Yeah, you're still looking at probably 600,000, right? So that's a lot of gil, and yeah, I mean, if you got it, I guess go for it. But gil isn't really. It takes a bit to get, but you get all that, and then he'll be like, "You alone realize my true value." He's like, "You are a master worth serving." It's like, heck yeah, man! You get the guy super excited. Man, we're the only ones that have been willing to pay the man.
I mean, it really does. I mean, that is quite a bit that you have to pay. And this is the other thing about it too. It's an interesting Aeon. You're thinking, okay, cool. You go look in your menu.
Yeah, yeah.
Yojimbo's strong. Like
Oh
Yojimbo
yes.
has
It's like
probably the highest strength out of all the Aeons
yeah.
you've gotten thus far.
But Bahamut's
Defense,
around like 56 on mine. I look at you, Jimbo. He was 70.
yeah,
So I mean,
he's got
substantial
crazy.
difference.
Right, crazy strength. He's he's an interesting one in battle too because you don't directly control him. You have to, like you say, you got to pay the man. And it
Yeah.
also works off compatibility. It's quite a complicated subject. There's entire, FAQs and things designated just to the
Pages and
dynamic.
pages of things going over the
Right.
formulas and everything.
Yeah, and from my understanding, the biggest element is the random element. So there's always randomness, but it depends on your compatibility, which essentially just can be boiled down to being nice to Yojimbo. I think that just means paying him a decent amount every time, or not letting him get killed, or I don't know, stuff like that. The weakest was kind of funny is the Diagor, it's the dog one, and that is essentially if you just give him like a few gil.
He's like, all right, go ahead. You get a dog attack for that amount.
You
Like, go
get the
get him.
dog attack. Yeah, Kozuka is kind of a cool one. It's a single enemy, single target attack. It's he has like a little 3 dagger. I don't know what you call
Kind
it,
of like
shuriken or
shuriken or
something.
yeah, little. Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't know these things, guys. Don't bust
yeah.
us over this.
300 gil or so is what you do for that one. Wakizashi, this is awesome. This is attacks the entire enemy party. Strong attack, somewhere around the 1,000 gil mark. And then really the thing that I was talking about, the
Holy
big one,
Grail.
is everybody looks up how to get Zanmato. Because Zanmato is pretty much, I'm pretty sure you can defeat every enemy in the game with Zanmato.
It's just
Has a lot of things.
it's death no matter what, and it doesn't even do the damage. I mean, it just ends it. It's kind of like
Yep.
Odin in Final Fantasy. What was it, 9? When he would just like do his dive, and it could just be instant. Or no, 7, no 8. There we go. It's kind of like
Uh-huh.
it's kind of like Odin in 8, where yeah, you just kind of had the instant death. That's it. It's pretty sweet.
Yep. Or like Final Fantasy 8, Selfie's Overdrive, the end. It
Yeah.
just pretty much it just completely just ends the battle. It can't miss or anything.
Nope. It's just like yep.
But
That's it. They're dead. Don't even worry about
yeah. But you gotta have maxed out. Oh, and it has an awesome animation. Everybody, I mean, Zanmato looks so cool. But you gotta pretty much have like perfect compatibility. You gotta get lucky, and you're pretty much gonna have to give them 100K plus. I mean, there's just no getting around it. It's gonna be tough to get it to work without giving them a sizable amount of gil.
The more you pay, the better chance. We have another hidden location. So this one we would have found. We come back here and it's none other than Baaj Temple, right? It's where you first arrive with Titus, where you get first free roam. If you just move forward, you guys will dive in the water. Walk is like, you guys are just staring at each other for a bit. And it's like, okay, what's going on here, guys? But then Walk is finally like, what's up? Something here? Titus wants payback,
Yeah.
man.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I gotta just say too, I mean, how awesome is it to be back at the very beginning of the game? You
Yes.
you look at your stats now, and you remember Titus back then with 520 HP, and
Yeah.
well, in your case, he probably still does have
Still has 5.
520.
He
But
is, yeah.
normally,
He's
normally it'd be a
totally
lot
back where
stronger.
he began, man.
Yeah,
Entirely.
I know exactly. You're supposed to be stronger. That's the point. Because again, like you said, this is payback time. He's like, yeah, last time I was here, this giant monster attacked me, and it's like, all right, well, let's
Yeah.
get him.
You attacked me?
So
You attacked me?
you don't even know who you're attacking.
Star player, the Xander Canabes.
I'm gonna come back in 20 hours and kick your butt.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got Gioscano again.
Yeah.
Gioscano.
That weird cage thing that chased us after we, killed those little guys.
There's different attacks though this time around. He doesn't just go easy on you with whatever that attack that halved your HP. Now he's pretty much throwing out stone punch attacks.
Yeah.
Which, when you're underwater, that's an instant shatter, and that's worse than a KO.
Yeah, because then that character is gone, and obviously we're in water. So, we got Titus Waka, Riku, of course, and yeah, once a character's gone, that's it. And you only got 2 or 3 to begin with, so 2, and you also got KO punch as well. So, I mean, he just hits pretty hard with these status.
Yeah, so needless to say, we didn't talk about prep. We didn't go over too much, but we will say, obviously, with an attack like that, stone proof is essential. At this point with the airship, you can farm petrified grenades at places like Calmlands. The basilisk type or the anaconda type enemies have those items, and you can steal them 2, 3 at a time. So you can just customize 3 stone proof. KO Punch is not a whole heck of a lot you can do, I'm going to be honest. Luckily, he only uses that once he gets under 50% HP. He starts mixing it in, so bear that in mind.
Yeah. He'll also swallow someone, and so that's where they'll go in the cage. And you got a couple different options there, but some interesting things on how to defeat this guy. And so we'll go over that in a second here with some strategies, because we were going over this, man, and we had to start kind of getting some creative ideas for me, because I got really bummed, guys. I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to do everything in the game, because there's no way I'm gonna win this fight straight up. My guy, Waka, Riku, and Titus. Riku has 300 health, man. I mean, it's like they're not gonna do any damage. So we had to get kind of creative. But swallows them in. You can struggle. You can just kind of wait. Eventually, you'll be regurgitated out, and depending on what you do inside the cage, depends on what actually happens outside of regurgitation.
Yeah. Yeah, this was super interesting. I had no idea about this. I think I remembered when he gets around to using swallow, basically the character that gets swallowed is just inside his like rib cage. You could just simply defend, or I believe it also gives you a struggle command here where you'll attack him from the inside. Here's the thing, like what you were alluding to there. Depending on what you do, you get a different result with the regurgitate move that he'll use. If you struggle, he'll regurgitate, I believe, the next turn, and he'll spit it out. He'll spit the character out at like the party, and it'll do AOE damage on the party. So it's a tough one to do. You want to definitely watch out for that. Seems like at the end of the day, you just want to defend, in which case you'll be stuck there for about 3 turns. But when he regurgitates, that one character will get reduced to 1 HP.
Kind of interesting. And then something else we figured out is that when he swallows, any status effect on your character will actually be transferred to him, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is something that I haven't really tested. I'm honestly going to have to try this because if that's true, I believe you can transfer things to him that he's immune to. So if you go and look at his stats and everything, Gioscano is immune to pretty much everything except for poison, in which he's got a 95% resistance to it. So
Yeah.
it's essentially one of those things that it's an easy way to get something like poison on him by inflicting one of your characters with that status counterintuitively, and then hoping that he selects that character. When he does, it basically transfers that status onto him. So I think you can also do things like zombie, to be honest, and that's something I want to test. I'm not sure if that's possible, but technically he's immune to zombie, but
Right.
you know, it might.
Well, and we had to strategize this because it's like, well, what do we got to do? How is I going to take out this guy? So we have a few options. One of them was like, well, okay, well, if I was able to zombie one of my characters, and of course, it'd have to probably take a few times to even set this up if I could even last long enough for someone to be swallowed.
Yeah, that's the other challenge, huh?
But if get zombie on him, and then I can hurry up and maybe do a couple, Phoenix Downs or X potions or whatever, and then that could possibly be a way. We had another one with the spare change. And now, dude, I did try this today, and I failed because the spare change strategy, and I actually had to cheat for this because luckily enough, my Kamari and my route where I took him down Riku's, I did go get spare change. And then I teleported away and went on. So I did have to cheat with my kind of challenge because I did have to waste, because it is a waste, but I had to waste one of my teleport spheres on Riku to go to spare change to learn it, right? Because she couldn't get there.
That's right.
So I had to get that. But if you throw at least 10 times his current HP with spare change, you'll just kill him. Well, man, found out that break HP limit does factor into spare change. I could only throw a maximum of 100,000 at him to do 9,000, quad 9. So I'd have to do it 3 times. No, I didn't try it again. I was like, okay, this might be a little difficult to, get 3 spare changes on them. So it's another kind of one of those timing ones. But, possibly I'd have to do it. Well, you have to do it 4 times, essentially.
I love that animation, too, with, like, the coins just getting chucked at
Dude,
him.
you just throw a pile of money, and it did still, even quad 9. It's like, dang, man. Like, oh my gosh.
A lot of the strategies here are going to be either really time-consuming or expensive, let's say. Because like you said, so you can either throw a whole lot of gil at him, but there's a couple other things you could do. So you can technically just use, evade and counter weapons and just generally don't struggle when swallowed, that kind of thing. Then you might just be able to, wear him down. Also,
Yeah.
inflicting with poison is also a good idea. It does quite a bit of damage to him. Another thing I guess you could do if you really wanted to is if you're able to get Gambler's Spirit. A couple ways you can get it as a prize, I believe. With Riku, you can mix 2 Gambler's Spirit for trio of quad 9, which will just basically mean that everything that they use is going to use quad 9. So if you use multi-hit attacks on top of that, then you're going to be doing a ton of damage. And also, like, potions will heal for quad 9, so
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is a really awesome kind of overdrive. And if you're just doing it traditionally, all your characters are geared up and strong. This usually isn't that difficult. Stone Punch is just kind of the most dangerous, scary thing you really need to prepare for. He is weak to all elements, so you could have any of the strike ones on Waka use attack reels, and if he's like, fairly strong, he's probably gonna one-shot him, honestly. I mean, you could do that, and so overall, not that difficult in traditional means.
Yeah, exactly.
And well, man, it was out of the frying pan and into the freezer. Well, you go back in, and if you did all of the Cloister of Trials, got the Destruction Sphere. Side note, you would have to go back to Xanarkand. There's one more of the same things that we've already did. You do that, boom, and then you get that one. So, well, we got a few things. First off, some pretty good chests, dude.
Yeah, right off the bat, if you go towards the back, first off, let me just say it too. This place looks awesome, right? This is one of the cooler looking temples in the game. You've got little statues on the side and everything. I just love the way it looks from here. At the very back, you got 2 chests on either side, basically, of the room. One has 4 Mega Phoenix in it. One has Mega Elixir, which is pretty sweet. Like you said, basically all of these statues correspond to one of the temples. Hopefully you did get them, because at this point in the game, unfortunately, some of those you're going to have to fight a Dark Aeon just to get to it at this point. So that's the reason why for a lot of those, I'm thinking right off the top of my head, we're talking Besaid, Makalania as well. There's going to be Shiva.
And well, we'll see a friendly face. This lady looks kind of familiar, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is Seymour's mom.
Yeah, you get Seymour's mom.
Yeah, she basically says, what we already essentially knew, like he's become twisted, he's not doing so good, right? And basically use me to defeat him when the time comes and things like that. So, but yeah, we finally get Anima, and I gotta say, this one is so legit, right? Because aside from Yojimbo, this is kind of the first one that you can actually, number one, control.
Yep, control normally.
Yeah, it's one of the most powerful Aeons in the game. Once you get it, I'm pretty sure we'll have, again, the most HP, really high strength, just really high stats in general.
And plus pain, just instant KO attack. That's just fantastic.
Yeah. The moves, exactly. Yeah, the moves. He doesn't come with much magic, I will say, so you have to teach him quite a bit. But this is the one where, we've talked about Aeon customization a little bit before. This is the point where when you get Aeons like Anima, definitely want to invest in things like Haste, Cura, Curaga.
Yeah.
Just different abilities and things like that. Slow. He also has Oblivion Overdrive, which is the coolest, one of the coolest.
It really is,
overdrive.
dude. It's bizarre, but it is so cool.
Yeah, it's actually quite creepy, but it's
you get to see the
cool.
ugly underneath, and it's like, whoa, what in the world is this thing? Like, gosh, Seymour's family is demented, man. What is wrong with that family?
Yeah. It's crazy to think, though. It's basically a final Aeon.
Yeah.
So no wonder.
Yeah, each
so
one
powerful.
kind of is. Yeah. Pretty cool. Well, that's Anima. Now there is, I don't know however way you want to say it, one more hidden Aeon, and it is going to be Remiem Temple. We're about to get there. Once you get all these Aeons, you go through the Remiem Temple stuff that we're about to do, and then a few other things, you will get this last Aeon. Now, first, you need to go and capture one of every monster at Mount Gagazet. Return to Arena. Dude will give you the Blossom Crown. You need all other Aeons. You will go to Remiem Temple. You'll have another item that you'll get here in a second called the Flower Scepter. You go to the back of the Remiem Temple, man. You unlock this door, and there you go. They're bugs, man. They're literal bugs. What in the world? We just went from anima, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And then you're like, this
Oh
chick's
man.
a ladybug. What the heck?
Yep, they are, and this is the final. Could call this the final Aeon, really.
The
It's the
best, the
last
ultimate.
Aeon in the game. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And like you said, these ones are it's even more interesting, really, because it's actually three Aeons in one. It's also a super interesting summon animation when you get the Mega Sisters and you summon them for the first time. It's like they kind of fall from the sky and
Yeah,
they're
they
like
like plant themselves.
like these flowers or something like that. It's interesting. You should definitely see it. But they're three different Aeons, and yeah, they again you can't directly control them. It's kind of another frustrating thing where you just give them these commands, right?
Yes.
You tell them like do as you will, and the commands too. There's a whole thing with that where they come up only in certain situations. For example, help each other starts to come up when they're hurting, when they're starting to get into
Right.
critical. Occasionally, after a couple of do as you wills, I think you start getting go, 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 which again, they kind of just tell them like help each other, obviously, but try to tell the RNG to heal each other. Go, go, go is more offensive. The frustrating thing is it's like
Yes.
it's random again, so it'll just say taking a break. I mean, it's so frustrating. They skip a turn.
Yeah, they won't do anything. You're like, oh my gosh. That's honestly one of the worst aspects of them. I can get over the bug aspect if I could actually use them because some of their abilities are awesome. I mean, they are really good and they are really strong. So it's, yeah, I mean, the fact you can't control them is just so frustrating.
Yeah, they are super powerful. I think the devs knew that they couldn't give you control of them because what I always use, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people use the Mega Sisters for, is actually the little one,
Yeah, the
Mindy,
B
I
one.
believe. The bee, yeah, she's awesome because she has this Pasado move, her special. It does like a 28 hit attack where she just shoots a whole bunch of like needles or something,
Dude, it's
like
insane.
stingers. Yeah, and I remember they have very high stats. As you develop Yuna, every time she gets stat boosts, they get corresponding higher stat boosts. So they become very, very powerful very quickly. And Pasado can start to do a ton of damage, especially on like tougher enemies and bosses.
Yes, really, really cool. That is all the Aeons, guys. I mean, pretty cool ones. I like the Aeon system. Don't really use it, but you know, I'll use it to overkill some things every once in a while with some grand summons. Now, we're gonna kind of keep it at Remiem Temple. Remember, you can only get here based on a chocobo. We left it at that when we were here in the Calmlands. Now, going through, you'll just go to the Remiem Temple. Now, you kind of descend on this massive bridge, and it's like, whoa, man, this place is awesome.
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
think I'm assuming? Do you think this is where Yojimbo used to be? I mean, or is it was kind of just their whole summon thing as it was with the Magic Sisters?
I don't know. That's a good question. We never really know where the heck Yojimbo originally was, right? Because, like you said, it seems like this is the home of the Magus sisters to me.
Yeah, because they are housed in there behind the door, so that does make more
Yeah,
sense.
but that is an interesting kind of thought. The other thing that we got to talk about here is this is really interesting little mini game. So on either side of the save sphere next to the front door, if you go off to the left, there's a chocobo over there, and if you go off to the right, there's another one that you can actually ride. And you know, it basically says it's this race. You got to try and beat the opposing side chocobo. This is a really important thing for the side quests too, right? To start because we're going to get a really useful key item here.
There's a lot that goes to this, but if you just want the key item that we're about to tell you here in a second, you can just easily do like the race and you can get there pretty quickly, no problem. You don't have to do any of the extra stuff. If you just run straight to the center and get there first, which is pretty simple, you will get the Cloudy Mirror. And you might be like, what is this thing? And we'll go over on what that thing is here, but there's a lot of other good prizes, isn't there, man?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, let me just explain this race a little bit better because I realize we haven't really told you guys what it's like. It's really linear. It's not like the ones in Comlands where you have a huge amount to roam around and you know a big area of track. It's just basically like this spiral linear path that heads down towards the center of under the temple or wherever the heck this is. You know.
Right.
There's all of these poles basically at different junctions. So there'll be like a wishbone in the path and there'll be a pole there. And there's this whole system. You don't get good prizes if you hit the poles. You get better prizes if you get the chests. There's a bunch of chests sort of scattered throughout as well. The chests kind of do more than one thing too. They not only help you get better items if you can win while also getting the chest, but they kind of transport you to a different area on the track as well. So sometimes it's a shortcut, sometimes not, which is why it makes it so difficult to get all or a good amount of these chests.
Yeah. That is, of course, completely optional. Cloudy Mirror, you just got to get down there first, so pretty easy to do. Also, I think it's on the left side, forgot to mention, there's also another Albed Primer. One of the last few, right? Again, and this is 24.
That's right, yeah.
So that one is there. Of course, you could have had both of these ones that we just talked about today by now, but that's where they are at. Inside, though, man, we got Belgemine. So you're like, oh, what's up? And you're like, oh, what's up? And it's the same thing. She wants to help train us. We can hone us. And now we can fight all of the summon battles again. So if you go through, you'll be able to select all the different Aeons. Correct me if I'm not wrong here, man. You actually have to have them, right, in order to battle them.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it helps to kind of do this later, because I think a few of these as well, we talked about the Magus Sisters, but you kind of have to fight them first anyways, even to get to that point, because one of the items is one of the Aeons here. But yes, you have to have them.
Go ahead and you challenge her. Each Aeon will give different items. Some of these are really great. So first up, Valifor, Lightning Gem times 4, so pretty cool. Ifrit, you get 30 X potions. That's quite a bit. I love me some X potions. Ixion, 10 chocobo feathers. Shiva, 60 mega potions. I mean, whoa, that's a lot.
And I was going to say, what's nice about these two is they're good multiples for teaching your Aeons different abilities. Like the chocobo feathers, you can teach them haste.
Yes.
And Mega Potion times 60, you can teach one of your Aeons Curaga. So if you really want to make this easy, you can just teach, if you've got them all at this point, you can just teach Anima those and just use Anima on every single one of these battles.
It'll just decimate. Except for against Anima, of course, but at that point, you could use Yojimbo and just pay them or, anything else. Bahamut, here's the big one. We mentioned it earlier, Flower Scepter. So you got to get up to this point even to get the Magus Sisters. So, you got that. You got the other item. That's the ones you needed for the back door. Yojimbo, you get 8 Shadow Gems. Now, what can you do with Shadow Gems?
That's to teach Demi.
Okay.
So
who cares?
That can be kind of, Demi, exactly. Demi, Shadow Gems are not super hard to come by either. You can just steal them from Sandworm and Sanubia Desert, so not the biggest thing. But Anima, if you can be Anima, and they do, they get tougher. I would say the Belgemine Aeons at this point are just slightly harder versions than the storyline ones.
Right.
So they're not super hard, but Anima, I guess, could be, a little bit tougher. You get Stamina Spring times 60, which is actually pretty sweet because I believe you can teach Regen.
Pretty nice. And what's the last one, man? So you get all the way to the end. You got all of them. Belgamine's like, this is my last Pokemon. And you're like, I'm going to take you on.
Yeah. Finally, the Magus Sisters. And what else is there to say? You just basically dispatch them like all of the other Belgemine Aeons. And for this one, you get Shining Gem times 40. Again, like these are pretty sweet items because that will teach an Aeon Flare. I think you have to get 60 though, if I'm not mistaken. But
it gets pretty close though. I mean, sets you on the right foot, and great things for your Aeons, and that it's kind of just a fun little side thing. And there's some more story and closure with her too. It's a whole kind of real just fun thing. This is actually one of my more favorite kind of side content for the game.
Yeah, me too. Because once you get done with all of that, she's basically like, well, my job here is done. Like you are way, way better to Yuna. She's saying this. She's like, you're way better of a summoner than I am at this point. I mean, you could really defeat Sin. It's at this point you actually get the option of sending her. You have the option because if you decline, then you can continue to fight her and farm items if you want. I do believe you get different rewards or at least lower amounts or something like that.
Yep. So
the second and subsequent times. But yeah, I mean at this point usually unless I really need to farm items easily, I just send her.
Yeah, end it, kind of get the kind of story closure thing with it. I mean, think about it, man. Mihan High Road was the first time. That was a long time ago. It's been kind of a long, ongoing thing with her, and it's been pretty cool.
And isn't it funny how she hinted at that all the way back then? Like,
Yeah,
I was not able to defeat Sin, and we didn't know. And here we are. So finally, once you get to this point, way deep into the game, where, I mean, you have to have the airship to really finish this. Like, you
absolutely.
can't do this the first time. You can fight up to Bahamut the first time, but, like, you have to have Yojimbo, you have to have Anima. So,
Yeah. I mean, ideally, if
yeah.
the furthest you could go in the story naturally would be Yojimbo, and then
Yep.
that'd be it. You would have had a comeback and all that kind of stuff.
And I do want to cover just one more thing that I forgot to mention. Back to that chocobo race, there are some amazing prizes to be had if you have the patience for it. I know the race is incredibly annoying. I did this one time on the remaster, and I swear I'll never do it again because it was just so frustrating, time consuming. I mean, you think getting under 0.00 in the, chocobo race is hard? It's like, man,
Yeah.
5 chests and 0 poles hit on the chocobo race is incredibly tough. But let me just break it down. So basically, if you hit a pole, you get a potion. That's just the way it goes. It's not very forgiving. You cannot hit a single pole. If you don't hit any poles, you win. You get 1 chest, elixir. Same situation, but 2 chests, mega elixir. 3, this is where things get incredibly good. 30 wings to discovery, which you could teach somebody to break HP limit just like that. Pendulum times 30 for 4. The pendulum is actually Master Thief, so that's a really good one to get. And then, of course, like I said, the 5 without hitting any poles, you get 63 stars, which teaches, I believe you could teach a couple of characters 1 MP cost.
Oh, so nice.
So pretty insane. And then, of course, the Chocobo Master Trophy. If you get 5 chests, even with that one, you can hit poles and you still get the trophy. But for the 3 stars, good luck. That is a
Good
tough one to
luck.
get.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We hope that you all enjoyed some of this side content. I know it's quite a bit, but we did quite a large amount of it. So probably one more episode after we progress. We're going to hit in Sin next episode. We'll probably start out there. So we're going to progress the story a little bit more. And oh man, like we will almost be at the very end at that point.
Yeah, exactly. We got celestial weapons to cover. We've got some of the tougher, like post-game dungeon type areas. And we covered a lot today and a couple of the areas, so looking good.
Exactly. Really cool stuff. All right. Well, we'll catch you all in the next episode. I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.